There we go.
Okay.
It's the first time I've joined.
Well, it's nice. I've not really felt festive yet at all, so it's kind of nice to. I know it's like.
I haven't either.
Normally, if you're making a wreath, I think doing it on the 22nd of December is a bit last minute, but I think I've not felt festive at all. So it's kind of nice to now it actually, because sometimes you can do them too early and you're like, I'm not feeling festive now at all. Why are you making me in the end of November? No thanks. But it is Christmas very soon, so it's quite nice to feel a bit festive. And when I was actually making the packs up, the veil smelled amazing because I was cutting up this lovely spruce and some of the pine, and it just smelled amazing.
Oh yeah.
So that was quite nice. But I'll start just by introducing myself. I'm Lizzie Rigby. I'm an artist based in Mosley. I've been working at the Vale for nearly 4 years now, I think, mainly as a freelancer. I have been making large puppets and structures with them. Mainly covering them is really my speciality in different fabrics, and I do a lot of batiking, which we will be doing in the new year. I do I think it's a 3-part, or was it a 2-part workshop, the Missing Patch workshop with you, which will be really fun. Designing and waxing and then painting, and really, yeah, it's with the work that I do, it's a lot of different techniques and mediums. Really, it's kind of whatever. With a lot of the work we do, it's whatever suits that specific project, and that can mean that it's a lot of different techniques used and a lot of different mediums. So yeah, a lot of the time we do workshops for kids at festivals and things like that, and that can be mask making and lanterns. But I thought this was just a really kind of nice little festive craft that we could do. And I have done wreath making before, but I'm not an expert at all. I think the first one I did 2 workshops last year, and before that I've never made a wreath. So, but it really isn't difficult to show you. I'll show you a couple of examples to start with. And actually, this one was made by my 5-year-old son last week. So, and he loved doing it, which I actually thought he'd get really frustrated because it is very fiddly. But I think maybe because he's got small hands, he really enjoyed it. So, I mean, I'm not sure how secure some of the bits on here, but literally it was let me move this out of the way because you can't really see what's what, can you? But so mainly we start off by attaching the greenery, some of the spruce, as a background, because I think it's nice to have a complete green background, and then you can kind of work up from there, and add some of the different bits you've got. I think the ivy's quite nice. I like to put some of the ivy on because it's quite like you can kind of weave it in between. And so there's oranges and there's cinnamon that you should have, or and also pine cones, but it'd be nice if you have got anything from your garden or anything you've got lying around that you want to sort of attach. It's kind of really your own sort of creative expression. Yeah. So we start. So if everyone gets their base to start, and if you've got any questions, ask me at any point. It'd be quite nice if there was a bit of I don't want it to just to be me talking for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. It'd be nice to sort of and if it wasn't on Zoom, I think we'd have some Christmas music on, but I think then we'll probably end up with too much noise and feedback, and who knows. Yeah, so the first thing for me is you want, and as well, to get an idea, you can just lay sort of for positioning, you can just lay bits out onto your base to start with. It's nice to go in one direction, because if you start, well, I suppose that depends on your sort of own vision, what you'd like, because you can do, so if you find a top point, you might want to use, you see how it's got the wreath base has got horizontals going across as well to keep it together. So you want to find a central point at the top. You could go in each direction and meet at the bottom, which would give you a nice, but it wouldn't, so it would, yeah. So you could do it like that, or you could go all the same way to get more of a circular. That's really, I'd go for the circular one, but that's completely your own. So, and for attaching, you should all have pre-cut little bits of wire. Let me know if you can't see anything that I'm doing as well, and I will try and get a little bit closer. I am a bit far away from the camera.
It's fine for me, but I'm on a laptop. I don't know what it will look like on a mobile.
And there are different ways of attaching. I like to go under, so I like to get the piece of wire and actually attach it to the wreath base first before. So if you loop it under a horizontal under one of the cross pieces, so you're getting a little bit, so it's not just got a, because some of these are pretty flimsy. So if you go under it, and then you get the piece that you're attaching, and for these big chunkier pieces, you might want to pick the longer pieces of wire. I hope I've cut the wire long enough. Some of them might be, you might find that there's longer pieces and shorter pieces.
And you're just twisting the two bits of wire together, Lizzie?
Yeah, so feeding it under first, so then you've got a little loop and you've got both ends sticking up. To get it under as well, I sometimes curl the wire so it's like a hook, and then you can hook it under. I just changed and used a longer piece of wire because it wasn't long enough. And then you probably want to attach it to a middle point of the piece of spruce that you're attaching, just because then it's going to be more secure. But if it's not completely secure, then you can just attach. And then I'm twisting them together. Sorry, I'm not showing this very well. Twisting them together and then going back on so the wire's going, you're bringing it together, twisting it, and then pulling it back down, back over and then that should be secure. And then it's quite nice for the next piece to overlap a little bit, because then I think you get that sort of fuller, but it depends. You can, it's your own creative vision, really. If you wanted it to be quite sparse and just have little bits in between, then you could do, it's quite nice to work in threes, I think. So you could go as far as only attaching a few bits to the bottom and have the base visible, if that was, a style you wanted. Or I kind of like it when it is all covered and looking really bushy. And
the base is quite pretty, isn't it? So if you see glimpses of it, it doesn't matter too much. I shouldn't have.
No. I do think it's nicer to use this sort of natural base because you can get foam bases, but I can imagine that they're the plastic really at the end of the day, and it's kind of nice that because you're putting obviously a lot of natural things on there. It's kind of nice that the bases. And as well, there's one that I made last year. I don't think I've brought it because it is half dead, but I've still got it, and I kind of like that it just decayed and decayed and decayed. It was on it was on the outside of the door for a while, but then we put it on. We brought it to the inside of the back door, and I just kind of liked that it was slowly decaying over time in the corner, and it is kind of nice that. And I think once you get to the point, obviously you can then keep this, and so you can take everything off it at the end of the festive season and do the same with it next year. Yeah, so the first part really is just getting that base layer on.
Is this from your garden, Lizzie, or is this from out and about?
It's actually, I know a couple of my friends are tree surgeons, Stefan and Sam is a tree surgeon. So he just phoned me actually and was like, because last year I did a wreath making workshop at one of the local cafes in Mosley, the Allotment, which is a really nice little cafe. And he dropped off loads of cuttings because he often cuts down firs and like conifers, and he was like, I've got loads of lovely blue spruce for you, Lizzie. I was like, excellent. So that was
that's great.
really nice of Sam, and obviously that's nice as well because other than that, it's me foraging and scavenging whatever I can find. But obviously that's cutting down tree, like, well, not cutting them down, but taking back trees that are obviously doing well and are alive, but these are ones that people wanted rid of. So this is really material that would have got chucked. Sam would have just put it in his chipper, and it would have gone to nothing basically. So that's quite nice.
It smells amazing.
Yeah, it does smell amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah, really nice.
Have fun going for a little forage with my little boy. He enjoyed it too, and he was really good actually. He was like, this is really good, mummy. But we did find actually that I think the berries came a lot earlier this year. So when we were out there looking for things, everything was a bit gone over. The berries that we found lovely holly bushes, and trees, but nothing with a great amount of berries on them.
Kelly, have you got Elizabeth with you? Can't see your camera actually.
So what's everyone's favourite Christmas song? That's a good Christmassy question. Emery said at the minute he really loves, which I love too actually. I can't remember who it is. The Christmas rapping one. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps the waitresses. Yeah, he keeps just wandering around, and I keep hearing him just go Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, which is really cute.
My favourite is Jonah Louie, Stop the Cavalry, and I absolutely love it. And every year I have to wait until I hear it, and then it's officially Christmas. And normally it's not until, this time of year. And this year I heard it on the 1st of December. So I was like, oh, great, it's Christmas already.
That is a good one. Fairy Tale of New York, of course.
Yeah.
I do love that one. But
Driving home for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Driving home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Which
That brings
I'm
back.
not doing this year.
Yeah, no one's doing that this year. I think It'll be lonely this Christmas. That's basically the theme of this Christmas, unfortunately.
Can't stop the cavalry. I remember getting told off in a physics lesson because I kept sort of beating it on the bench and sort of singing it along under my breath. It wasn't the teacher that told me off. I think it was my friend sitting next to me finally got sick of it.
There's a really good programme on BBC4 on Friday night about the making of Fairy Tale of New York. And they got the Pogues back together, and they got Kirsty MacColl's mum, and they were interviewing everyone. It was really good, really interesting.
Was that on BBC? Would it be on the iPlayer?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And they had Shane McGowan on it, and like he can barely string a sentence together anymore.
Yeah, it's a surprise. I'm amazed he's still alive, to be honest.
Yeah. So he kind of shuffles into they get them all together to play it again, and he's 2 hours late, and they don't expect him to turn up at all. But he can barely speak, really. It's unbelievable.
I remember Ozzy Osbourne being interviewed at the grid at Formula One. You know how they do the grid walk and everything. And Ozzy Osbourne was there, and they interviewed him, and he was in more or less, he was stoned, basically. And after he wandered off again, and the guy turned back to the camera and said, and that was Ozzy Osbourne for the first and quite possibly the last time on the grid, Formula One grid.
And don't worry if you can see your bits of wire, because you can strategically place the next layer on the top of those bits. But because I think you've got black wire actually, so you shouldn't. I'm using a copper wire, which is a bit more visible.
I suppose you could try using withies, thin ones. I've seen Rainiers do it.
Yeah, you can use a range of different things to attach. Also, I think you all should have a bit of twine in there. That's quite nice. That could be used to attach the pine cones. It's quite nice. You can. Well, I'll show you when we get up to that point, because we're not there yet, are we?
I'm just thinking if you want it to be, 100% organic.
Yeah.
There was one Christmas song. I won't mention the title, but it was by a group called Steel Panther. And I was driving to work, and I was driving along a short stretch of motorway to where I worked in Eccles, and I was laughing my head off at this. The lyrics were, let's say, rather blue. It was some obscure rock station that I tuned into by accident. And I got into work just grinning and chuckling to myself. And as I'm going around looking at various IT problems, there's random people just singing this song. And various others looking at them scandalized.
How's everyone getting on?
Okay.
Nearly getting the bottom layer on.
Yeah.
I'm going to do mine afterwards. I'm going to watch the video again, and then I can do it, because I'm not at my work surface at the moment. I'm sitting on my bed. But I like to take my time and do things.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are any of your miniature buildings nearby, Andy, that you could show us?
I can go and find one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Andy's
a
been
couple,
making
actually.
these incredible miniatures and sending a couple of pictures over, and he's lighting them inside, and they look amazing.
That sounds cool. Sounds a bit like we got a really cool advent calendar for Emrys this year, because I'm always like, he wants a chocolate one, of course he does, but I just find the amount of plastic it has in it so depressing. And also I remember last year he seems to have about 3. He had one at his dad's, one at ours, one at my mum's, and it was just like, how much chocolate can you have? So this year we've got it's like a cutout one that we build. So you build the house, and then you add little, every day you add, so you look at what number it is, and then and it can be, there's like a little owl that goes on the chimney, or you make there's like a 4-part one for number 12 or something. That's like the bed that you make, that you put inside, and it's all got little bits in it, but it's really nice, really nice idea.
That sounds great.
So, but we had fun putting some disco, little tiny different coloured lights that made it look like they were having a disco inside, so that was nice. Have you got your little miniature houses? Can I see that?
Well, I've got the pub.
Oh, wow.
Now, when it's lit up from the inside, it's at its best. So a lot of the work was kind of rigging it so it can be lit from below, but making it look like it's not just a cardboard thing that lit from below.
Is it made of cardboard?
It's the kits, but you have to do a lot more. You can put one of these together in, say, half a day. When I used to go to Ian Allen Bookshop in Manchester, and went upstairs to where the model railways were, and the assistant up there, when she wasn't serving somebody, was busily making these up. We get the other one. This is I think probably the one I'm most proud of. Get to it.
Oh, that's great.
Cafe and post office.
It's a train station, or it's a cafe. What is it? What does it say? The old
Post office.
The old post office.
Are they based on real places?
I think many of them are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's for I'm building basically a coffee table sized model railway. So it's like 3 foot by 2.
Oh, all right.
So the pub isn't quite in keeping because it's brick rather than stone. So, but I can get at some point exactly the same pub kit, but put it in stone to match, or slightly larger. They do a coaching in, which looks really nice.
Very cool.
I have to do
They're
something.
quite expensive though, the packs that you buy. They're quite.
Say that kit would be about £9 or £10, but that's got 2. I've only built half of it. That's the pub, and then you can also make either another pub or a corner shop or a chippy or whatever. That one is one of the newer ones. Again, about 10 or 11 pounds. A company called Metcalf.
Very cool.
Metcalf with an E. And these are they do like for your standard Hornby, 00 gauge. And they also do, which is what I'm doing for N gauge, which is smaller, which is hugely popular, especially in Japan. And in the States, it's model, what they call model railroading, is huge in the States. If you look on the internet, if you look on YouTube, also any kind of craft. So yeah, so I've been so far just working, which is why it's a bit mismatched. I've been working basically with what I've got. So fortunately, I had a load of kits that I hadn't got around to building. I've got glue, I've got paints, I've got stuff to make the scenery.
So is everyone nearly at the point of covering that first layer, or however much they
I
want?
don't know whether I'm so bad at like judging. I don't know whether to cut these little bits that are in the middle, or should I just leave it for now and see how I get on?
Yeah, or you could maybe leave it for now and see, because you are going to add more, so it might be nice having a bit more going on. Mine, like I've got a few bits like that, but you could always wire those back, so you're not taking them off.
Oh yeah.
Because but you could just attach them with a little bit of wire.
That's a good
Back
idea.
to the wreath. Because it kind of just needs to look a bit circular. So there might be like, I think I've got a bit too much going on here because it's not very even. But I'm probably gonna attach that there, and then it's looking a bit more even. But don't worry if you do see the base underneath, because obviously you are going to add more to it, and I think it's quite nice it being a bit visible, because it is quite a beautiful thing, the base. And so when you've got that first layer finished, I think the next stage is picking. You should have another type of foliage, so either maybe holly or ivy, or can't remember what else was in your kits. But I think the way I go about the next stage is picking another sort of accent, so another bit of greenery, but that sort of looks nice with it. Or so on the ones we've got here, we've got one here that's a little bit more empty, but I think it's got some ivy on it. It's got something with blackberries, which I don't know the name of. I am rubbish, I don't know everything, and I don't know what this one's called with dark berries on it. I haven't got a clue. But I think that the next stage is picking something that kind of accents it, that you can use in between. So I think maybe I'd go with picking 3 pieces maybe that are the same, or it's completely up to you. I don't want to say that this is the way to do it, because you might come up with something amazing. And I know that when I've looked at other examples of wreaths, some are absolutely covered, crazy, like big, with loads of stuff on it, and then others are just a lot more simple. But there's something quite nice about that as well. So it's completely up to you. And it's just nice to have a bit of a play. You can lay things on it and not attach and see how it looks, and then change your mind, or just have a bit of a play.
We're visiting the visitor centre for work, actually, Park Bridge. So went in the office, and they hadn't made a wreath with the withies and the holly and everything. They'd actually made the face of the Green Man.
Oh, that's great. So, but with foliage, so it was.
It wasn't completely covered, but it was there.
Because I obviously know the Green Man, but more often than not, it's carvings in stone, isn't it? Or wood. But I wonder if originally they did make them like that from foliage, and then I'm sure they probably did at some point. But yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah, you can be really creative and make crazy stuff. Sorry, go on, Andy.
I forgot what I was saying now, so it can't have been important. So I have these senior moments. And I know it's not my age because I've done it all my life. The same way I'll not just walk into a room and then stop and think, why did I come in here? I'll get halfway upstairs and think, where was I going?
Yeah, there's something in that though. I don't think your brain, when you're leaving one room to the other, your brain's like, whoa, new environment, and yeah, so you completely forget what it is you come in for. I do think everybody does that, and that's like, yeah, it's definitely not.
I'm basically an introvert, so my body might be on autopilot while my brain's doing something else, off with the fairies, and my body's just going where it wants to. But at least I know I'm not in danger of falling asleep at the wheel, because my head's always engaged with something.
You also, some of you, I think, hopefully all of you, but some of you should have some sprayed eucalyptus in your kits as well. And so I bought this for the wreath making workshop I did last year. I bought a big bulk of it, but it came, and I thought it was natural eucalyptus, and it came and it was sprayed with something weird, and it was really like a dark green, and it looked like it was fake, which it isn't fake. But it was sprayed with something horrible. So I decided to spray it copper because I just thought it looked really cheap and nasty. But with the copper, I think it looks quite nice. So they're quite nice to add.
Could you use bay?
What was that, Andy? Sorry?
Could you use bay?
Have I used...
Could you use bay?
Bay? Yeah, you could use bay. Yeah, definitely. I think anything natural could really go on there, to be honest. And I think people these days, I think traditionally wreath making has been a festive Christmas sort of thing, but these days everyone's making, I think in America it's really, they do it a lot. Or I've got friends whose family lives in Canada, and they say that wreath making's huge over there, and they do autumn ones, they do them all year round just for different things. So yeah, I think it's nice that it's a craft that can go with the seasons, and it can be whatever's around at that sort of time, which I quite like. Yeah, and I think that there was some eucalyptus that I put on one that was had gone sort of an orangey. It was kind of a lighter green and orange, which looked really nice, and I could imagine an autumnal wreath covered with that sort of greeny orange eucalyptus and oranges, and it looked really like all the autumn colours. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe it's originally pagan.
Yeah. Is everyone having fun? Fiddly fun?
It's like somebody is.
Oh, yeah, we're having a great time. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello.
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 How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Oh,
Hello. You look very festive.
you do.
We've got the same name. My name's Elizabeth too, but I get called Lizzie. Oh, the same.
I get called Betty.
Betty. That's nice. It's not long now. How many days till Christmas? It's not long. Oh, I think it's less than that, isn't it? We've got today. Yeah, I suppose it is 4 till Christmas Day. Exciting.
Hi Lizzie, I have been here, but we double booked. So we've had a craft Zoom call for the little one, and then I've been doing this as well. So I have started.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, don't worry.
So I'll carry on with you now.
Don't worry at all. Yeah, so the first thing really was just getting a nice base of whatever the main, it should be, yeah, spruce or whatever you've got on the, whatever kind of pine you've got on the bottom, just as a base, and then adding little accents on the top of there. I think it's nice to work in threes or yeah, to get a nice flow to it, but it's completely up to you. I was actually showing before, Kelly, that this one was made by my, I am reluctant to hold it up after because it's not attached great, because it was made by my 5-year-old son last week. So he loved doing it actually, which I thought he'd get frustrated and find it fiddly, and when he's not good at something straight away, he does get a bit cross with himself. But he didn't want me to help him at all. He was like, no, I want to do it. And by the end of it, he was working with the wire really quite well. So I was very surprised.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah.
Nice, fab.
What craft have you been doing on your other call, Kelly?
On our other Zoom,
Yeah.
she's been decorating a bag.
Ah.
And making cards.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
And they've watched a video on an easy peasy trifle, so we've got that to do later.
Excellent.
Christmas trifle.
Pardon?
Christmas trifle, I just
Christmas
said.
trifle, yeah.
Have you ever found any materials, Lizzie, that you can't use on a wreath that you've wanted to?
I've definitely found things that don't last very long. I think I've definitely used rowan berries in the past, and they don't last very long at all. So I think things have like once you've cut it from the source, things can have not much of a life after that. And I definitely found that with rowan berries, and they look very sad very quickly. I think I've got some in here actually, and because they've got such lovely orange berries on them, or maybe I haven't. But yeah, the berries can just look really gross after a while. So yeah, that was something that I thought, yeah, maybe best avoiding really. But I think if you get them earlier, so if you're making an autumnal wreath and you get them and you get the rowan berries at the end of August, then you might have much longer, because they seem to come earlier and earlier. Yeah, but I think at this sort of time, they do tend to not really have much of a long life, and they look pretty gross pretty quickly. But other than that, I think it surprised me actually how much can look great on a wreath, and yeah, how like we picked some heather last year and used a lot of that, and that even still looks on my dead wreath from last year. That as that's decayed, the heather still looks really lovely because it just dries quite well. So yeah, there's a lot out there and a lot that can look lovely. So yeah, that was more nice discoveries really than no, that's not going to work.
That's good. And
even actually, we've got some moss that some of you have got, and I thought, oh, how's that going to attach at all? And I found that really it doesn't need a whole, like, as long as you can just kind of tuck it under things you've already put on there. And it's pretty secure really because it hasn't got any weight, so it's not going to go anywhere. And so I thought that looked quite nice at different points. I think Emma's put quite a few, my little boy put quite a few little bits of moss on his, which look really nice.
Okay.
And another idea that actually came from my little boy was you should have some raffia ribbon. So this is green, but which wouldn't show up very well, so it's a bit tangled. But you should have some red, and he was just tying little bits of that on, like as a nice. In fact, it's used here to tie a pine cone on, but it just adds a little bit of colour. I think you've got quite you've got to cut. Oh, there it is. So it's that stuff. He was just tying little bits on, which I thought was quite nice, or using it to tie some of the pine cones or oranges or cinnamon sticks or whatever you've got. just having a look at sews there, and it looks like she's nearly covered it.
Yeah.
It looks lovely. And so if you do fancy making, oh, it looks lovely. So yeah. So there is different types of ribbon that you could make a bow with if you wanted to attach that on. My little boy just made a really small little bow like that, but you can make bigger ones. But I think there's a few different, I was looking at lots of different ways you can make bows, and there is lots of different ways, but a lot of the time you need a bit more of a substantial ribbon. Like there's a way you, I'll try and show you. You fold it so you've got a loop, but then you keep doing that. So you've got quite a few, and then you end up with a bow that's got lots of different loops coming out, but you need a ribbon that's got a bit more of a structure to it. But I'll try and show you an easy way to make a bow. But it might not translate to screen very well. So the way I do it is fold the ribbon in half. And then make a loop and then make another loop. And then just tie them. Sort of how you would imagine to make a bow. So that's twisted.
Wow, it's 5 to 11 already. Time is flying. tips for pine cones, Lizzie?
I quite like to use the twine, if you've got any twine in your pack, or you could use the raffia, or any thin sort of ribbon. It's getting a bit chaotic on my table here now. So I think the best thing to do is I mean, you can do it with wire, you just need quite a long bit of wire, but I'd attach it to the pine cone first. But I'd use twine. And then, so find somewhere quite central in the pine cone, twist the twine around, and then I'd tie it in a knot. Only one, but then make sure that knot's kind of hidden. And then find where you want to attach it, and then feed the twine through underneath the rattan. If you've got a bit, if you can find a bit visible. If not, then you can attach it to a bit of spruce that's already attached.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and then I just wrap the twine around so you can't see it and trim it. And I think pretty well. But you can do the same with wire, like we've been doing to attach the spruce. Twist it round. And for the oranges, if you've got any that you want to attach, or yeah, there should be some in the kit. I'd literally just feed it through the orange first, because it's not hard. It's easy to pierce. And then quite delicately curve it and feed it back through. But obviously don't pull it too tight because it will just rip it. But it might be that you want to use, it's easier to use the edge, because then if it's wrapped around the orange peel, it's not going to come off. So is everyone getting there? Is everyone feeling like they're happy with what they're...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a wreath on your door, generally, don't you? A non-Christmassy wreath.
I've got a non-Christmassy wreath on my...
Have you?
Oh, who are you talking to? Sorry,
Oh,
Sophie.
sorry, maybe my video went funny. To Catherine.
Oh,
Oh, she has a wreath on the door.
Yeah, you have a wreath on your door generally, don't you?
yeah. I try to have one all the year round with the seasons.
Oh,
You're lovely.
Yeah. Natural where possible, but it's not always possible. So I do cheat a bit.
mm-hmm.
When it starts getting full, it's hard to know where you're pushing your wire in, isn't it?
Yeah, it does get a bit tricky once you've got quite a lot on there. There's times when I've I've thought I've twisted it round whatever it is that I'm attaching, and then I've realised that I've just twisted it around itself and it's not attached at all. That does happen sometimes.
Lizzie.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry. How do you get these pound cones on? I missed it before.
Okay, I think the best, you can use the wire, but I do find it a bit tricky, and I do think that you need quite a long bit,
Okay.
which you might not have. But I prefer to use the twine. If you've got, I think you should have some in the kit, or you instead you might have this. Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've got some twine.
So I find a middle point of the pine cone. Let me find
Yeah.
a fattish one. There's some wire on that one already. Twist it round, pulling it quite deep in so you can't really see it,
Okay.
but with a bit of a length on each end, and then I just loop it under each other, so you've just looped it.
Yeah.
So it's like you tied a
Yeah.
knot. You don't need to double knot it, so that's fine. And then you can just feed it under the rattan base if you can find a little bit that you can weave it under, or pulling it under some of the spruce and wrapping it around there. But I think it's better if it is attached to the base if you can find a little bit. But I think it's quite nice as well if some of the greenery kind of overlaps and covers the pine cone. That's quite nice. So
Thank you.
no worries. It's the kind of thing that you could just keep tinkering all day at, really, isn't it? Just like, I'll just put this bit here, and then I'll just add this, and then.
I was talking to a Swedish woman yesterday, and we were talking about Christmas. And she was saying in her village in Sweden, it's the tradition for Father Christmas to come into your house on Christmas morning and actually physically give you the presents. So houses would often come together. So you'd get together with your neighbours and everybody would wait for Father Christmas to enter.
But who would be playing? Is it like they get someone who's like a family friend to pretend to be Father Christmas, or?
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit risky.
Well, especially now that can't happen. How are they going to explain getting there?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, she said for years when she was a kid, it was always Grandma that was Father Christmas, and she had no idea. She couldn't recognise her.
I like that. Grandma as Father Christmas.
Touches red. What's my nail?
Oh. Hmm. Been rooting around in my box so I can smell the spruce now on my fingers.
It is lovely, isn't it?
I might hang mine inside so I can smell it, because unless you actually come to my door, nobody can really see my front door from the pavement.
Yeah, I had mine inside for most of the festive period last year anyway, and put it out for a bit, but it was getting absolutely blasted, and at one point it fell off because my door's quite exposed, so I did just bring it in for a bit, and I preferred that. At least then you can see it more.
Yeah, and I don't have one of those fancy brackets, you know, that you sort of hang over the top of the door.
You've got one of them.
Yeah, and I'm not sure one would fit actually, because the door fits it's the new front door, and the door fits very, very snugly. Of course, I hang it from the door knocker, but in that case, I will not get any visitors.
And for attaching it to wherever you want to place it, whether that's inside or outside, I just use a bit of the twine, but you can use some nice fine ribbon. It's a nice fine red ribbon that might be nice to hang it. And then all I did with the twine was just loop it round the base and tie it. But also if you do use the ribbon, then you can attach a bow or make a bow from the ribbon at the top, so you've got a loop and a little bow, which could be nice. I just quite like the natural look of this twine, and because I think a few of you had this really nice Hessian ribbon, which I really like because I just think it looks quite nice and natural. You could always make a bow from that.
I have already finished.
Oh, lovely. So
Ah,
That looks lovely.
Some of my own material.
Gorgeous.
Oh, that's
Lovely.
So the bow that you've made is from material.
From myself. I have some other material myself.
Oh, it looks beautiful. So
Thank you.
is it going to go on your front door, or have you got a special place for it? Where's it going?
We're hanging in front of the door.
great.
It looks lovely.
Are wreaths made in China? So is that something that you might do in China or not? Not really?
Because at home I have many materials, many other materials because I am an art teacher before, so I got loads of other materials.
Great.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Thank you.
There's a big sigh from someone there.
I think I'm near enough done as well. I'm just deciding whether or not to put a bow on it. Because it's a bit small.
Oh, that looks lovely, Sonia.
So I don't even know where I'd put a bow.
You could always, you could have a bow coming off it. So you could just be a little bow here on this example. It's not very full, this one, but there's just little ribbon dangling from it, so that you could also
Okay, yeah.
like that. So you could do a little bow at the end of there or in the middle of there, and then have some.
Yeah.
You could just have it dangling. Completely up to you. But there's also a little bow on there. But you could go for the whole big in your face bow or a little delicate one. It's completely your own, whatever you fancy. As it's 11:20 now, isn't it? Kind of coming up to 11:30. It'd be nice if everyone could sort of show. I know we've already seen So's and just had a look at Sonia's there, but when they're done, it'd be nice if we could all just.
I'm fascinated by the bow that Catherine's making. It's beautiful.
Just trying to get it on.
I'm worried that when I hold mine up, everything will fall off.
I think you'll be surprised. I think.
Or the first time you slam the front door.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's how do I touch it?
Mm-hmm.
I can hear lots of sawing in the background, and that's because at the Vale at the minute we've got an artist called Tony Mason up from London who's making some giant hares with us. So actually came to volunteer yesterday, which was really good of her, and helped us out quite a bit with a few different bits. But yeah, we're a bit behind on where we really like to be for that. And also the worry is that if we do go into a lockdown in January, that Tony might not be able to come back for his second visit that he was supposed to in January. So it might be that, we have to do some video calls with him to instruct us on certain bits because it is quite a complex make. so it's a big, we're making 2 big hair puppets, and they have various different joints and mechanisms too. So there's a bit that you pull down, which then will bring the legs forward. So it should hopefully be able to have that kind of hop that a hair does. Yeah, so for the rest of the day, it's Tony's last day today. So yeah, I need to get cracking on with that after this, which is exciting. But yeah, it'd be great if in January any of you are free to volunteer. That would be amazing.
Well, I plan to be there this month, but I just simply, for various reasons, I simply couldn't make it. But hopefully in January.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, somebody asked me what I was planning to do, and said, "Oh, the sort of automaton hairs." What's an automaton hair? So, well, an automaton is, well, think Cirque du Soleil, but on a lower budget, and a hair is a hair. Have you come up with the, you know, what kind of, how to do the coat, the fur?
The cladding.
Yeah.
I spent yesterday actually making some samples, which was quite exciting. We're still unsure, but I think we've kind of narrowed it down to some different materials to sort of work through some samples. But the tricky thing is with that is because we want it to, it's quite important how it illuminates. So whatever we use has to work with the light quite well and can't block the light out. But we're going to experiment with playing with that. So it might be that we use a net light, which will have lots of pinpricks of light, or directional light to give an overall glow.
On the inside.
Yeah. But the thing is with this is it's not ever going to be completely covered, because that would inhibit its movement basically, because there's the outside legs have to come out and in. So if we were to cover the bum, say, at the back of the hair, it wouldn't be able to do that unless it was a super stretchy fabric. But I don't think, yeah. So there's limitations to everything when you sort of, you come to a point and you're like, what material is going to be best for this, because it needs to have, like, everything's got so many different criteria really. But we're hoping, so we're going to play around. We've made some samples, Mel made some samples with a tubular crin, like weaving it. Tubular crins are stuff that they use actually, it's for like dreadlocks and sort of rave culture. They use tubular crin, they put it in the hair. It's like a material, so it's kind of like a net. I've not got any to show you, but then it comes off the machine in a tube, so it's actually, they make it into a tube, but then it's stretchy and pulls in different ways and can tighten, and it's quite an interesting material.
Sounds like a Chinese finger.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, weirdly enough, because it does tighten when you put your finger in it. Emrys loves it, my little boy. We've got some that in crazy colours, because you can get like all sorts of different colours of it, because they use it in dreadlocks. We put it on the Christmas tree instead of tinsel. So and he loves it, because it's just like, it's very tactile and stretchy. And it's like, he thinks it's a snake. I chase him around with it. And it's like, so we were looking at using, because you can sort of pull it apart and make it look like an interesting texture. So that was something we were using. I made some samples where I sandwiched, I saw this actually on as like a quilting thing. So you get a base layer of fabric, could be a cotton, could be anything, or a organza or anything, and then with like mess that you produce from the sewing machine, or like loads of bits of threads, bits of twine could go in there. You can lay them on top of the fabric, and then get a fabric that's sort of, that you can see through a bit more, like an organza, and place that on top, and then sew it. So you've got, and then I sewed different thread lines on it, but then so you can see all of the thread and the twine or whatever's in the middle as a texture in itself. And if you lift that up to the light, you can really see it, because obviously things that are thicker will block the light out more. But because organza lets the light through really well. And then also because you've got a couple of layers, it plays with the way that the light goes through it. So the shadow can be different, and that creates quite a nice effect. So that was an idea that we had, that, but it was quite detailed. I made a little sample that was really quite small, which, would it register on a huge thing from far away? What would you see of it? So I'm going to work at scaling that up a bit. I'm working with bigger, maybe like different sort of yarns in between those two fabrics to see what kind of effect that has, and see if that registers on a bigger piece, on a huge, because these hairs are big. The sort of the way that I think I'm not sure the full measurement of, but it's about 3.5 meters, or it will be, maybe even bigger when it's, because you can lift its head up, so it has the scope of going even bigger than what it sort of looks like at different points. But yeah, it's just playing around really with different materials. You don't know how they're gonna look on a massive structure.
Something like maybe I don't know, a thin muslin or cheesecloth, or your grandma's old neck curtains.
Yeah, until you have a play and look around at lots of different materials, you don't. Yeah, who knows what's good on, what's not for different specific things. It's quite exciting anyway. But I'm sure in January we'll have more of an idea of the specific, well, we will have to by that point, so we can get ordering what we need. And actually when, so if we were to do one of the ideas, which was the tubular crin idea, that, and weaving it, we worked out we'd need like 15 meters of it for every square meters of puppet we have to cover, which then becomes like a huge costly thing, because it's not, I mean, it's not hugely expensive, but it's not cheap. So then when you work into something that we might need 150 or more, probably 200 meters of it, and then that does become pretty costly. So yeah, there's lots of different variables and things to think about, but it's exciting, and exciting as well, because sometimes when we start these projects, there is always an end date. There's a gig at the end of it, or some kind of event at the end of it, which can mean that we don't always have time to play around and to look at how different materials would work together and things like that. But because this one, the likelihood, it was initially for an event that we were hoping would go ahead in February at Oldham Illuminate, but I don't think that's going to happen. So it's kind of nice that there's not so much of a time restraint on it, and we can.
Well, I hope we can actually get on with it in January. We
Yeah.
don't get locked down.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'll stop people from working, really, will they? Because I can't see how we can go back to that again.
It depends on how much worse things get.
Yeah. How's everyone getting on?
I think I've finished.
I've finished. Yeah, it's tempting to keep.
I think so, yeah.
Tinkering and keep tinkering, it is, isn't it?
So I don't know if you can see that. There we are.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And you've got some nice silvery pine cones on there, I see.
Yeah, white.
White.
So it's on my theme. White Christmas.
That looks lovely, Catherine.
So I shall have it on the door straight away.
Sophie, what about yours? Let's have a look at yours. You might have to talk.
My ribbons might need sorting out. They might be a bit wonky.
Oh, that's lovely. Yes.
Lovely.
Nice.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Time for show and tell. Sonia, how are you getting on?
Now I'm on mute. I kind of gave up with the big ribbon because I just didn't know how to do it. So I'm just going to place like little baby ribbons instead all
Oh,
in
that's
it.
nice, lovely.
And get it around. Thank you.
That's nice. That's kind of what I'm doing as well, Sonia. So I just got little ribbons. I prefer
Yeah.
that sort of little natural look to.
What about you, Kelly? Oh yeah, that's really nice.
I can't see.
The idea was Elizabeth were going to do the wreath from you guys, and I
Oh,
was going to do it on my own, the willow one that I'd done. But obviously, because she had her OPAG one, she's not been able to do it. So I've just done mine, and she can do hers later.
yeah, that's nice.
Great. That's
Which is
lovely.
why mine looks different.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I like it.
Lovely.
So I shall just go.
What about you, Lizzie? How's yours?
I'll show you. I do think it's nearly there. I think I might add a few bits more to it. Let's turn that around. Just messing with the bow, getting it. My hair attached, we don't want that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's really nice.
Lovely.
Well done, everyone.
Really enjoyed it as well, doing it.
That's brilliant.
That's everyone. And Andy, you'll have to take a picture of yours or show
Oh
us.
yeah, I definitely will.
Yeah, and send it over, and I'll send it on to Lizzie.
Good. And so in January, you will receive your missing patch kits. So I'll talk a little bit about missing patch now, just to give you an idea of that project. That was a project we did back in the first lockdown. So when the veil was closed and nobody was here, we got a little bit of funding to do a socially distanced project, and so we could send some packs out to people in the community. So mainly families with children or people who were on their own, because they were having to isolate, things like that. And the pack was a batik pack to do at home. So we played around. So batik is a technique used in Southeast Asia mainly, and India. And it's a technique using hot wax. So you melt the wax, and you have a design, which then we do it as we do the design on pattern paper, so you can measure and you can get a very sort of symmetrical pattern. And then we put some plastic sheeting down over the top. And then you silk on top of that, and then you should be able to still see the pattern underneath. So because we use like Sharpies or a permanent marker, that you can see that thick line, and so whatever is black will then be white, because that will be the wax that so you have the pattern, and then with the hot wax you follow the lines, and then you basically paint in the white space in between, and after it's processed, where the wax was will be white, because it's a resist process. But you can do things like double waxing to create so that then the lines would be different colours. So if you paint it first and things like that, there are more different techniques you can use. But so the Missing Patch project was Sophie as well did some writing for it, and we created a little story about a hot air balloon that was stranded because it had to crash land as one of the patches were missing, and obviously the air was going everywhere and it wasn't flying anymore, and we needed the missing patch. That's basically the gist of the story, that we needed people in the community to help us fill the patch so the hot air balloon could go off on its journey around the world. So we sent out these packs with the dyes that you would need. We decided to not use hot wax in the end because we thought that that'd be a bit nightmare. And we were obviously at the point of protecting the NHS at that point, and we thought sending out a load of hot wax to people doing it at home on the hob, melting the wax, would have just been a nightmare. So we decided to use PVA glue instead, which does work. It is a little bit more tricky, but it does work. So they're the packs that you'll receive, and you can design whatever you want. In fact, I think in here, I'll just quickly get some patches to show you. And Sophie, if you want to say anything about the project, you can do now.
Well, I know Kelly and So have done this before, so this is a chance to try a different design, maybe some different colours. That'd be nice. Yeah, and we've had quite a few returned, but obviously it's always great to get more. And the idea is that with all these physical patches that everyone's created, we'll then be able to make a hot air balloon envelope, as they're called, the sort of canvas shell, and somehow inflate it, although I think that would be more of a structure rather than actual inflation. And then a basket, and then hopefully when we're allowed to do carnivals again, that will be a big centerpiece for a carnival production. So then everyone will be able to come out and see their patch on the hot air balloon, which will look great. And they're so vibrant as well. Yeah, that's brilliant. And the good thing about these patches, from what I understand, is it's not a great swathe of material. It's not self-contained, so it's perfect for getting started with batik.
Got some patches to show you. So, oh, in fact, this one is So's. So So's already done one.
So and Kelly have done patches. Brilliant.
And hopefully at some point we will actually make this hot air balloon. That's another one. This one's lovely. That's a really nice one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Isn't it? There seems to be quite a turtle theme. We seem to have about, well, there's a few different animals on there, but we've got about 3 different ones with turtles on it. This was the one that me and Emrys did. I mean, Emrys did get a bit bored. But tiger.
It's like the tiger that came to tea.
I like this one, but someone, they've not actually used wax in this one, or they have used a bit of wax, but I don't, they've used like some kind of acrylic paint that's a bit, I'm not sure what it is.
Oh, that's pretty
nice. And this one's a nice one. This one's a peacock. Nice colours. Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing in January.
brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Lizzie.
No, thank you. It's been really nice. I feel all festive now.
I agree. And if you want to take photos of your wreaths on your doors, then I'd be very happy to see your photos. It's lovely when people send their photos over. So.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
really nice.
Well, thank you very much, Lizzie. That's lovely. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
Good stuff. Thank you, Catherine.
Whatever you end up doing, if it's different to your plans or if it's not, or choosing not to celebrate this year, then I also don't blame you. I just hope everyone has a nice break.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, happy Christmas in the circumstances anyway. Cheerio.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, Merry
Bye.
Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good Christmas.
It's going on the door now.
Merry Christmas to you, Elizabeth. I hope Santa brings everything you've asked for.
You too.
Bye.